Stalking is a very clear-cut example of a crime which has become all too common, facilitated by the rise in communications technology. The word no longer conjures up images of hooded figures in dark alleys, but of inboxes spammed with messages, private social media accounts being bombarded with comments, identity theft, phone calls and more. The more over the past decade or so to an online life, a move made all more drastically during COVID has led to many victims of stalking being unable to escape their tormentors. It is a depraved and destructive behaviour which can cause severe distress to a victim and leave a lasting negative impact which may not fade even when the behaviour stops. As such, it is appropriate that we legislate to dissuade and punish such behaviour. It is also true that we must be extremely careful with new criminal legislation. Imprisoning someone is not a decision which should be made lightly. We owe it to the people and to the courts to make sure that the legislation doesn't catch each other less serious behaviours in its definition of stalking behaviour, while also ensuring that in those cases where legitimate stalking is taking place, a conviction can be secured. As has been mentioned, the creation of a specific stalking offence was a recommendation of the Law Reform Commission in 2016, who differentiated it from harassment based on an element of intense obsession or fixation, which creates an unwanted intimacy between the stalker and the victim. I do not speak about these things in any abstract sense. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. My nightmare started in the 23rd of August 2013 and it went on for 2.5 years. The Gardaí tried their best to try and get the person that was making the calls to me, but I got up to 92 calls one day alone. It really destroys your life. And no matter where I went, this individual knew exactly where I was. He knew what I was wearing. He knew whose company I was in. Friends, he would ring friends to see if I was with them, if he couldn't get me. So, you know, I welcome this legislation here today. But we need to resource the Gardaí. We need to resource the Gardaí better to deal with cases like this. In my particular case, nothing could be done because the person making the phone calls didn't own the phones that calls were being made on, and he got away. He got away with it on that basis. So 2.5 years of hell he put me through, and he got away with it. So that should not happen. Perhaps one concern I have surrounding this legislation would be in the difficulties which may be encountered where the existence of a crime is based on how events are perceived or experienced by an individual. I trust that, as this bill passes through the House, we will strike the correct balance in this regard, in anticipation of cases which may not be as clear-cut as others. I think of the likes of subsection 3G, which lists interfering with the property of a person as an example of stalking behaviour. While one can certainly think of instances wherein such an action would be stalking behaviour, it is easy to envisage where such behaviour could be more innocent. Likewise, the persistent nature of any activity is instrumental in its being a stalking behaviour, yet the list of defined stalking behaviours only refers to this in the first of its 8 examples, which could have serious legal ramifications. I have no doubt that these issues will be explored in detail and dealt with over the next stages of the bill, and I look forward to working it. And I can commend Senator Chambers, Fitzpatrick and McGeehan for bringing it before the House this evening. Thank you.